Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Inevitably, our deepest apologies for coming late. Some issues, but we're here now. And our guest, because we don't have any time to spare, our guest this morning is Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu Garba, retired. He is, former military officer, it goes without saying, and he was former deputy head of security at the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He's a security consultant. So good morning to you, Group Captain Sadeeq Garba Shehu. Group Captain Sadeeq Garba, are you there? Good morning.
Yes, I'm here with you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So sorry about this. So as I was saying, we have the improbable, quite frankly, situation where terrorists are announcing up front that they intend to hit the seat of power, and it has given many people, reason for concern. Perhaps reassuringly, the Minister of Information has described the whole situation as laughable, and that's what I'd like to believe as well. But the situation is not reassuring if people feel sure that they can speak like this and there be no consequences. One hears of other countries, as you know, where you even if it is in jest that you say this kind of a thing, you invite the whole, architecture of security down on you. You don't want to cause unnecessary problems for yourself. But in Nigeria, it's a different matter. The information minister has described it as laughable. But tell me, Group Captain, how you received that threat that was published. How did you receive it? How much seriousness did you attach to it?
Here, I will have to say, looking at the efforts, the amount of energy and logistics you will need to attack the president of any modern state in the world, I would also align myself with what the minister said, that in as much as we cannot say it is not something of concern, but the feasibility, the practicality of these people getting to a president are very, very remote. When you look at, without being indiscreet, the kind of security that is around the president or members of his family, or even the Aso Rock building, is so intimidating that I do not think any person will attempt attacking the president there. Contrary to what people believe, the president, again without being indiscreet, without going into details, is surrounded by multiple layers of security. You will have to breach at least 3 circles of security before you get to attack the president. And all these circles, they are well protected with different agencies. It's a multi-agency undertaking. Well, what people are saying that the presidential guards are the people, protecting the president. The truth is that the presidential guard are not even inside the inner perimeter of the presidential security. The presidential guard will operate on the outer security of those 3 concentric circles that I tell you. Okay. So, as a propaganda tool, it resonates with the people that terrorists said they will attack the president. Yes, it will send a message. However, anybody conversant with the security architecture, that is around a president of a country will know that even they that made the claims, they know it is not something they can carry on. But, terrorists, they lack propaganda. And the fact that, unfortunately, when I read the papers today, I had time to go through the papers, the headlines are so terror in Abuja, panic in Abuja. That is what the terrorists want. With due respect to members of the 4th Estate of the realm, we have to be very careful how we sell the agenda, how we glamorize, terrorist activities. Yeah. I'm privileged to be part of a faculty that teaches terrorism studies at the European Center of Security Studies in Germany. I go there as a visiting professor. One of the things they teach, not only to military people, to media personnel, is media and counterterrorism. The teaching there is that you should be careful. On the one hand, a media man, rightly so, will argue that he is protecting the public's right to know. But the public's right to know should be balanced also with the responsibility, with empathy, with sympathy, with soldiers' family, ordinary citizens that the people kill. So sometimes you have to exchange, the chance of being the first to bring out the news with that responsibility to show empathy and sympathy to the soldiers and civilians that people are killing. A reasonable media may even delay an information. A reasonable media will not come and say, and show a situation where that is like the bandits or the terrorists, as we like to call them, have come out in a kind of commando kind of style and they have overwhelmed our forces. Such media, as soon as these people attack, they go and monitor the media. That is why, if you understand, when Boko Haram came over the years, they became masters of social media. Now, if ordinary media is also helping them, I think it is something that our media should look at. In as much, like I said, it's a balance between being responsible to the people, showing empathy to the people that these people are killing on the one hand, and also on the other side, the right of the public to know. You have to, tone down issues. And especially, again, I will caution the Nigerian media, like, you see, back to the issue of the Brigade of Guards. The Brigade of Guards, their main duty, if you look at their history, since 1962, they were established in 1962. They were replicated, to go after what is called the Home Guard Brigade in the UK. Their main duty is ceremonial, but that is not to say they do not have a security aspect. And when you try to show that attacking the Brigade of Guards is like they have almost gotten to the president, in reality, it is not so.
Indeed.
Like I said, the Brigade of Guards are even on the outer of 3 concentric circles that are protecting the president.
Okay.
So what I am saying in essence, in as much as there is the duty of the media to make people to know, but please, we have to take this into context. We have to also show empathy and sympathy for the people that are killing. Emphasis, the teaching, as I said in this course that we go to deliver, emphasis should be on the victims, rather. The victims. I would have liked to see our media following where that, is it captain or lieutenant was killed, how he was buried. I would have liked to see them interview his wife. How does she feel? How is she going to survive? That is, you are still reporting the same issue, but you are giving emphasis to victims rather than the perpetrator. Oxygen, they would say, so media publicity is like oxygen to the terrorist.
Indeed.
So whenever you give him that oxygen, you are keeping him alive.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that, as it were, insight, so that people could understand it. Because even and understand the 7 Guards Battalion of the Nigerian Army Presidential Guards that was attacked recently, and that you've put all of that in context, explaining that as professional as they are, they're not even, as it were, close. They're not the closest security ring around the president. And as you've pointed out, as you've also pointed out, the terrorists probably they know what they're doing as well, and so they know that when they speak, they will be covered. But what you are saying, that it remains for the society now to understand what is sort of fishing for publicity, and know how to balance between the right to know and what are our security interests. And so in that context, you said you would align yourself with the Minister of Information, who called it laughable. Now, I also imagine that beyond these layers of security, these rings of security, intelligence is also probably very much up and doing, because I hear stories that in the US, if you happen to be in a bar socializing, you can't take your joke up to the level of threatening the president in a joke. It will not be seen as a joke anymore, and before you know what's going on, you have all sorts of people investigating you, vetting you, and just, being... So I imagine, do we have that kind of consciousness here as well? Because people seem to be able to say whatever they want, and we don't know what is meant in jest, what is meant in propaganda. And so talk to me, if you can, about the role of intelligence in all of this at all, and reacting to even spoken threats against the seat of power.
Thank you very much. You are very right, Mr. You are very right about that. Even in the whole of democracy, that is the United States, if you make any threatening statement against the president or against his members or members of the government, to be honest with you, because unlike us, they have covert people embedded. Whether on media, you will definitely get people, knocking at your door. Not automatically they are going to arrest you, but you have to come and explain. And not only that, after even if you have been able to explain yourself, there will be a watch on you, because they will want to see. There is one thing they always say: you have to translate intention to action. You may say it 100 times. They will call you and interview and then continue putting eye on you. But the moment, it will be for a long time. So you can see the inconvenience you are bringing to yourself. The moment they see signs of translating intention into action, then of course they will clamp down on you. So definitely, even passing comments, loose comments that we see either on social media, I have seen some terrible comments Nigerians making. To be honest, in that I will say our own democracy is even more elastic than the United States democracy. Because honestly, some of the comments I see on social media wishing harm on the president or members of his family, if you do them in the United States, you are going to be picked. And that picking, even if you are explained and left, first of all, there will be surveillance on you. Apart from surveillance, you as such a person is not likely to apply for any sensitive employment within the United States system that they will take him, because that tag will be following you. And of course, they are a very organized society. It's easily to trace you with your citizen's number, with your credit card, with your address, so wherever you go. But here, people do it. And still, I come back to, the role that the society and media also has to act. That's why we say counterterrorism is a whole of society approach. Yes, we've had these people have attacked officers and men of the Seven Guards Brigade. But how many of our media, there's a part two to that story. What is the part two? After falling in the ambush, the officers that survived this percentage, they were able to pursue these people up to Kaduna through the forest and kill them. We didn't see any media following that. That is why we put the angle. And like I said, we didn't see the media finding the history of the people that were killed, how were they, were good officers, how are their family. That is it. So please, I am calling on the media. Again, I emphasize, you have a duty to inform the public. Nobody can take that in a democratic society. But within that duty, you have to balance the need to be first with the news. It's better to be right than to be first. It's better to be responsible than to be the first with the news. I know there is competition, the media space. If TVC doesn't carry it, channels will carry it, or NTA will carry it. So there's a competition. But there should be a commonality. And I think here, either, I don't know whether it is the National Orientation Agency or is the Ministry of Communication, I think they should offer special training on our media, because some may be doing it without knowing. You do not glamorize terrorist attacks. You always side with the security agencies, because when you have problem, those are the people that you are going to call.
Indeed. I like the expression you put on it, glamorizing the activity of terrorists, because to them, it probably is a win that here we are talking about non-state actors, terrorists, possibly getting close enough to our president to do him harm, and indeed do the polity, do the seat of government harm. But you've just explained that, look, never say never, but that's a virtual impossibility. The security, the intelligence aspect of it also, is there. One knows that not all of these things can be spoken about externally, but still, it can be reassuring to know what the rings of concentric rings of security are. Another way that one can imagine any harm could be done would be to, for the moment, fly over, the seat of power. This is your area. Are there regulations to what aircraft, where aircraft can go and their flight paths, and can aircraft fly at random simply because they have the ability to do so over, Aso Rock?
Well, overflights over every territory is regulated by international aviation instruments. ICAO, to which Nigeria is a member, that is International Civil Aviation Authority, because civil aviation in itself is a civilian, is a civil enterprise rather than military. There is the military aspect of it. So any overflight, any country is controlled by international civil aviation regulation, to which Nigeria is a member. Having said that, there is sovereignty issues concerning the airspace. That is to say, if there is any area for reason of security or danger, a country, any country, not only Nigeria, could indicate to ICAO that we are, designating an area as a no-fly zone, like we saw during the Zamfara. However, with due respect, what I find is that it seems that our policymakers do not understand that declaring an area a no-fly zone has international ramifications. Because what you are saying now is that aircraft will have to divert.
Yes.
Even aircraft insurance, when you declare your area a no-fly zone, is going to rise. Insurance companies are going to charge. So what does it mean? It might even lead to increase in airfares at the worst of it. So declare an area a no-fly zone, even though it is a sovereign right, is something that will be done with the utmost responsibility and utmost consideration. As of now, I don't see any need of declaring any area over Abuja. I don't think the threat is up to that level as a no-fly zone. So to the best of our ability, I think apart from identify, that's what is called ADIS, Aircraft Defense Identification Zone, which may be declared by the artillery over the Nigerian Air Force that you are not to fly over there. Apart from such small zones, I do not think the threat we have has reached the level where we'll be thinking of maybe preventing flights overflying Abuja. I do not think that is the issue.
Okay then, because I was wondering if, as you know, there are so many private planes and different sizes, and I was thinking that you can't really fly over the seat of a power without all sorts of clearance and all sorts of advanced knowledge. And should you decide that you are going to even attempt to break the law or break with that tradition, there probably might be dire consequences. Because you will be seen.
Definitely, if you are flying,
technologically, you will be seen.
You file your flight plan. Yeah, you have to fly your flight plan for any country that you are crossing, and then you have to get approval before you even take up on your flight. And if you enter by any chance, or maybe you have an emergency, you will be asked to identify whether you are a friendly or an enemy aircraft. And if you don't identify, the country concerned, whether Nigeria or any country, could take action by identifying you as an enemy.
Okay. So, we're going to take a break soon, but I'm sort of a bit more reassured that the minister has said the whole talk is laughable. You've put it in context. You've said that, the media has its role to play in all of this, and that you align yourself with the minister's comments, that it simply is not going to happen. Unfortunately, well, I imagine, because leaders around the world, they all are, in dire security, situations. We see what it takes, for instance. Maybe the most dramatic of, well, maybe the most comprehensive of all the ones that we see publicly will be that of the US president. You see what it takes when he's traveling anywhere, all sorts of vehicles, all sorts of decoy vehicles, all sorts of layers and all of that. Likewise, ourselves. But then at home, it really would be egg on our face if indeed the preposterous idea put out by by the terrorists looking for publicity, if it were to come anywhere near truth. But one is a bit more reassured that, well, we can take it for what it is, mere propaganda fishing for coverage. Okay, stay with us, please, Group Captain. We'll take a break and then we'll come back and continue with this conversation. Okay then, welcome back, and Sadeeq Garba Shehu, retired Group Captain, security consultant, and teacher in security matters. He's been speaking with us, and he's sort of given more perspective into the whole, shall we say, sensational news put out by terrorists that has been debunked by the Minister of Information, as well as the Group Captain now giving us a further perspective. But these are heady times in terms of propaganda. Look at the other aspect where even in our own Senate, a minority group, made the sensational, announcement of readiness to impeach the president. Of course, that caused an uproar, and of course, all the headlines will go for it. In fact, some of those headlines continue this morning. Senator stage walkout, saying Buhari must go, apprehension in Abuja. So all of this is going on. These are not the best of times in terms of the citizenry feeling assured that government is able to do what government should do, which is provide security of lives and peace of mind, for people to go about their work and go about their business. Comment on this situation generally, the psychology of it all, these coincidental matters. On the one hand, the terrorists carrying on their propaganda, and then a minority group in the Senate making the sensational statement of wanting to impeach the president.
Thank you very much. This issue of legislature vis-a-vis the executive in matters of security, with due respect, I think it is something that is still being shadowed by our past of being a military regime. In the military regime, the military head of state, he is the president, he is the legislature, he may even be the judiciary. In democracy, it is not like that. With due respect, I do not like the attitude that whenever we are discussing security failure, the National Assembly, the legislature, whether Senate or House of Representatives, they used to take this stance that we are not involved. It is the executive branch. Executive branch here, I talk the president, the Minister of Defense, or Minister of Police Affairs, but it is not so. The Constitution of Nigeria and general democratic practice, they share almost equally the responsibility for the performance or failure of security architecture of both the executive and the National Assembly. The National Assembly are not as powerless as they seem to portray. I'm not a lawyer, but simply checking Section 27 of the Constitution and other sections of powers of the executive, powers of the legislature, whatever power that the Constitution gives the president over issues of security, over issues of military, it equally gives the National Assembly powers for check and balance. So if there is failure, and certainly there is failure, we must accept that. Both the executive and the National Assembly must share in the blame. Here, as a responsible person, I am weighing my words very, very carefully. Are we ready to do an honest debate, an honest discussion between the executive, that is the president, and the legislature, and the members of the security forces, whether military or police, of the kind of shenanigans that happen during budgeting? Are we ready to face each other and discuss that issue? Are we ready to, discuss what goes into our defense budget? Is it defense related or other extraneous matter? Are we ready to discuss how do the services finally get their budget from the National Assembly? All these legislators that are talking, are they ready to sit down with the president? And I think the president has a duty. Yes, again, it is democracy. The president cannot order the National Assembly, but I am calling on the president and commander-in-chief to really find out with his service chiefs and find out what is happening with regards to their defense allocations, how they get it, how things are inserted into the budget. We should talk. The country is in problem.
Okay.
Corruption will kill all of us. I want us to sit down and do that discussion. And then I can assure you, some of the National Assembly members that come and shout and pontificate, they will not be able to do so. But as it is now, almost everybody is guilty because nobody wants to talk.
Well, as you said, let me not go down that path. As you said, because nobody wants to talk, we're talking about security matters here. Now, it needs to be said that the Senate President did prevent, the movement of a motion, to the effect of what this minority group was trying to do, which is to come up with a motion to impeach the president, whereupon I think they walked out. But we have the Minister of Information's clip on this whole matter. Stay with us.
I want to assure you that Mr. President is aware of all this, and I'm told, as a matter of fact, I think tomorrow there's going to be another Security Council meeting. So it's not a matter the president is taking lightly. And like I've always said, some of the measures we are going to take are not measures that you can discuss, openly here. But we are as concerned as you are. We're not going to abandon our responsibility. As to those who have issued threats to Mr. President, I think it's more propaganda than anything. It's laughable.
Okay, so there you have it, Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, laughable. And this has been expanded further by our security analyst and consultant, Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu Garba. And also, we have sort of linked it to the sort of turbulence, if you want, if that is even a right word to use. But there's so much apprehension. Social media is what it is. People are actually contributing their ideas that, I've seen a group, I've seen a cell, I've seen a camp, and why doesn't, I'm just warning here. And, you know, as it were, well-meaning, no doubt, but amateur security spotters are also contributing their own bit to the whole situation. And I don't know, how helpful do you think this is? Because maybe government should be leading with information and not contradicting spurious stories that are coming out. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. We know security is not generally spoken about, you know, in the open generally, but is there a need sometimes to prevent damaging rumors from going forth?
Well, in counterterrorism, the function of information is very, very important. The government has to be honest and upfront with information. As unpractical as it is, you may not be able to clamp on any amateur journalist who goes on his. I've actually seen a lot of those things. You see somebody will take a picture. I'm actually here in Kuje. I'm driving. I saw a group of some people. So it is all feeding into this hysteria. Agencies like Ministry of Communication or NOA should continue to enlighten the people, just like I spoke about the responsibility of the media, because almost anybody now with a phone and 1,000 naira credit on his phone is a journalist. And people believe what they want to believe. So we have to sensitize our people that you are not helping matters by, you know, spreading all this information. But for the mainstream media, you should also be careful in picking things from these social media people. I don't know good media will do that, but it happens sometimes. Sometimes anybody can post any rubbish, either out of mischief or out of ignorance of what he's doing. Some will even think they're helping the society, but what you are doing is you're helping the terrorists by carrying out unconfirmed information and then sharing it. And there are some people, I think at the personal level, what I always advocate, if I receive, you cannot stop people sending you any kind of harebrained information. But when I, receive such a harebrained information, I don't share it. I just delete. That is the least you can do.
Okay,
you don't originate, and then when you receive, you just delete it. You don't pass something. Some people will post and say, posted as received. That is nonsense. If you don't believe it, don't post it. Posted as received is not a good thing to do.
I hear you, Group Captain. Especially now coming to the rest of us, the citizenry, and it is true that we have been empowered by social media. Now people can get in side by side with the mainstream established media, and actually will get in, be putting stories out first while the established social media, the mainstream social media, are waiting to confirm, check, reconfirm before coming out. They've come out with what they have, and because there's this whole mania of wanting to break the news. I broke it even before XYZ newspaper, that kind of a thing. So there are dangers to it, and I really appreciate what you've just said, that there's a duty for people to understand whether to forward stuff, and the fact forwarded as received, which is another thing that you see on social media a lot, is not necessarily helpful. In fact, it's quite damaging because you're putting it out there. So that's, I think, is a quite important point that you mentioned. It's up to the people to understand what you're talking about, understand their patriotic duty, understand their duty to, also be security and not publish preposterous stories, because when somebody says he's going to do harm to the very seat of power in our country, one has to be careful before forwarding that kind of a thing to know if it is true. So thank you very much for that particular aspect to the matter. The situation, what you're saying, there are many people who say the security of our public officials, of course, leading right up to the top dog, the president is overly generous. That in a democracy, why should there be all those layers of security, all those advanced teams, and that kind of a thing? And in any case, unfortunately, the 7th Guard Battalion, Nigerian Army Presidential, Guards, officials of that unit were actually attacked. But then you've explained that, yeah, it happened, but that's not as if it's the closest. And indeed, they were tracked down and, if I heard you correctly, eliminated. So one has to put all of these things into perspective, perhaps, in protecting it. So your comment, your reaction to the comment that the Nigerian public officer, right up to the president, is too much. Who means him any harm? No, why we see other countries, it's not as bad as that. Your comment there about the security.
Yeah, thank you very much. If Nigerians decide to elect either even a local government chairman or a state governor or a president, that person, by virtue of the office, not him as a person, but by virtue of the office he is occupying, he has become a symbol of national power. He has become a symbol of authority. So any harm done to him has the symbolic effect of attacking symbols of national power. So it is for that reason that you have to give such office holders, extra layer of security. But with due respect, I think that's not even where our problem is. I am living here in Abuja. You will see somebody who is not that tag public official, gives him the right to be protected. But what do we find? You will find people that are not even under that tag of public officials having 12 policemen. Sometimes even with soldiers, people are hiring soldiers to go and give them protection. Chains and chains of inspector generals of police have come in Nigeria with the intention that they will stop policemen being used by people who are not entitled to them. With due respect, I am yet to see any inspector general of police that has succeeded in doing that. It is almost a ritual. That is probably the first announcement upon appointment, maybe in the first week. You have given order, but that order is never obeyed. I am not exaggerating. I have seen dubious characters, people which by my knowing, they are not even into any good business, carrying police personnel with them. So this is the issue. And not only number of police personnel, disproportionate. We are talking of a country with 200 and something million and only 350,000 policemen. The policemen are already on stretch. Then you are carrying somebody who is not a public figure. You are giving him 12 policemen. I think the president should weigh in here. Looks like this, with due respect, I have to call it hiring out of policemen, has passed the powers of any inspector general of police. I think the president should come out and stamp his feet on this. We should not be hiring our policemen out while the general populace are left without protection.
Exactly.
There should be a serious effort to stop this. So far, no inspector general of police, to my knowledge, has been able to stop this practice. So police are for purchase. And I think it doesn't do the country a good image. It doesn't even do the police a good image. It doesn't do us as a people a good image. Sometimes it is even foreigners that came on their personal businesses, but they will pay and then they will have policemen. I think it is bad.
Well, but it is what it is. And as you've pointed out, more than one Inspector General of Police has actually put out this order. In fact, you sometimes see police personnel in degrading duties, by which I mean actually have been noticed to be carrying handbags of either the wives of some public official, or it might be the lady herself. So enough said.
Sorry to interject here.
Sure.
In a well-regulated security sector, whether police, whether military, even as an officer that you are giving personal aid, there are certain degrading duties that you cannot make your aid to do. Your aid is to help you with duties related with your position. So with due respect, I talk frankly, if you think you are a senior officer and then your orderly will be following your wife to a naming ceremony, to be holding her back, that is an abuse of military personnel or police personnel, as the case may be. That is not their duty. Or to go and guard your farm. No uniformed personnel should be used to go and guard a farm or a business premises. It is not part of the only duties that are allowed. But we don't have that regulation. With due respect, I have done comparative analysis with other military agencies, with other police agencies. They have this as a regulation. They will tell you TikTok, yes, you are given an orderly, but this orderly is only to assist you in duties related with your official functions.
But
that's how it should be.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's become something of a status symbol. That is what it is. So that private citizens now, religious leaders, now have police. I'm not sure about the army, but certainly police. People around them. I don't know what to call them. Are they police guards or whatever? But there are police around them, and that sort of enhances their profile. In fact, that's one of the remote causes that's led to what we're speaking about now, seeking understanding on what is going on. Even private citizens deem that they're important enough, rich enough, whatever it is, to be able to attract ne'er-do-wells, and so they can pay the military. Well, correct me if I'm wrong there. They can certainly pay the police. I don't know if the military, the army, is on that same level, whether people can apply to the army that I wish to pay for a few. Because you see, sometimes the military engaging in private, intervening at the behest of their, shall we say, sponsors. If you've paid, you're a sponsor. If you paid for their services, intervening on in non-security duties that you sort of just explained, that Batmen, aides are not supposed to be doing demeaning things. So it's a situation, I think it's a situation we have in this country. But thank you for putting perspective into it all and helping us to understand that these things are just going on according to the whims and caprices of people. But it's led to us now asking, is the president safe? But you've just assured us of that he is indeed, if it is possible to say so, more than safe, and that we should discountenance the terrorists who were speaking. But it's just that it has come now and, it's not dovetailed, it's sort of linked into people wanting to a group of minority senators wanting to, I don't know if they were also looking for, notoriety, because they know that is also something that's going to be reported.
Sorry, please, to come in here.
Sure.
When I spoke about media training for counterterrorism, one thing again that is taught to media personnel is that a politician is a politician. So when a politician would always make a political point out of every situation. You cannot take, whether it is a ruling party or this, they will always make a point. So journalists are taught to interrogate. You don't follow, any politician just because he says in the opposition that there is war, we're in danger. You have to interrogate him. And how do you interrogate him? You take him on your own function. What have you done? How clean are your hands? How have you not contributed to the security situation? So journalists should also be able to interrogate evenly. Don't just swallow what any politician will make a political capital out of every event. And I think this, again, I re-emphasize that Nigerians should not be sold. The responsibility for having good security, the responsibility of performance or not performance is shared between the president and the legislature. The only power that legislatures do not have over military matters is powers of appointing service chiefs or firing them. Any other thing that they said the president did not do, they also have the constitutional means to do that. It's either they don't know their powers. You are a journalist. Please just go online and click a clip where members of U.S. Congress are scrutinizing military chiefs. You will see the kind of questions they ask them. In fact, in a well-run democracy with legislators who know, I have said it several times, a military personnel or a police personnel who's doing his work, he has more to fear from the National Assembly than from the president. With due respect, sometimes the president may be seen as sympathetic to military because he's a former military man. The people in the National Assembly are, most of them, civilians.
Okay.
And they represent the interest of the taxpayer. They are supposed to be grilling and demanding, so they are not as powerless as they are doing. And again, I repeat, with due respect, let's look at, if you say you are a legislator, do you release monies allocated as what one due? Do you ask for favors? Do you insert projects that are not related to security into security budgets? If you do that, you are part of the security problem.
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Group Captain Garba Shehu Sadeeq, security consultant, for joining us this morning. Thank you very much. Appreciate your, attending the program.
Thank you.
Okay then. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.